The massive container ship stuck in the Suez Canal for 1 week has finally been pulled free, which means transit through one of the world's most vital waterways has resumed. But the backlog of vessels, which has halted billions of dollars in maritime commerce, is expected to take at least 4 days to clear. Meanwhile, if you look at animation from marine traffic, it shows some ships have already made their way down the coast of Africa, sailing the long way around the Cape of Good Hope to avoid the traffic jam. This is a 3,100-mile detour that'll cost shipping companies thousands of dollars in fuel, not to mention time. Bloomberg News' Paul Vecchiato has been keeping an eye on shipping traffic around Africa, and he joins me now from Cape Town. Paul, thank you for staying up late and speaking with us. Is Cape Town Harbor ready for a pickup in traffic?
They seem to be quite sanguine about it. They expect a few possibly extra vessels to come through, but not a rush. The main reason for it takes about 20 days for these vessels to go transit from Suez down the east coast to Cape Town. So with the blockage being cleared, they don't expect many vessels at all.
Right, and in fact, we've seen a couple of ships double around. At least one carrier made a U-turn and turned back north to Egypt at around Tanzania. Walk us through, in general, how long of a journey that is to get all the way down to the Cape of Good Hope and then make their way back to where they intend to go to.
Well, they've sort of done halfway and they've decided to go back. So they've done. They must have been. They couldn't have been in the Red Sea yet. So they probably thought, well, we'll take a bit of a chance. When they got down to Tanzania, they heard the blockage had been cleared, so they then did a U-turn. That's not unexpected. That'll take them, say, 5 days to get there, and maybe a bit longer. So by the time they get there, the traffic should be back to normal. But coming down, depending on the size of the ship, they'd have a few harbors to refuel at. So these new container vessels are huge. I mean, the Ever Given is twice the size of a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier. And most African ports can't handle ships that size.
I'm so glad you mentioned the size of the Ever Given, because I've been seeing tweets on how the size of container ships have just gotten larger and larger over time. And a lot has been said about why the Ever Given got stuck in the first place. You can blame it on high winds, you could blame it on poor visibility, or on just simple pilot error. But how do we know, or how do we ensure that this won't happen again with the trend of bigger and bigger container ships?
Well, that is a question the shipbuilders and the shipping companies are going to have to seriously look at, because so much cargo is placed on one ship that if it's lost for whatever reason, there's a lot of companies and trading that's lost. Now, the Cape of Good Hope was originally called the Cape of Storms. With a ship that size coming through, and if it hits some of our high winds, and it could have a serious problem in these waters. I was talking to some of the harbour people today, and they were just saying, if one of those ships to dock it, they'd have, in Cape Town Harbour, they'd have a window of opportunity every day between 5 in the morning and 8 in the morning. Otherwise, the wind's too strong for a ship like that to dock. It'll have to wait.
That's an incredibly narrow band of time for that to happen. I wonder also, Paul, to what extent the problems that we saw in the Suez Canal is a result of perhaps not sufficient investment by the Egyptian government in that waterway. Is that something people are talking about at all?
I was talking to a retired admiral from the South African Navy who sailed up there quite a lot, and he described the Suez Canal as a ditch. Maybe a bit harsh. But upgrading of ports and those sort of waterways have to be constantly maintained. And the Suez Canal is very narrow. So it can only take traffic one way at a time, apart from 2 points. So if anything happens, like we saw now, one ship blocking, well, they're going to have to start thinking about increasing the size of that highway, so to speak, if you put it that way. Yeah. African ports are generally, because of geography, African ports are generally quite small, and it's not just a fact of infrastructure development. It's also a fact of just the geography. Durban Harbour, for instance, on our east coast, has a very narrow mouth.
Yeah.
They are always worried about ships coming in and going out because you just need one ship to get stuck there and that whole harbour is closed. Cape Town Harbour, is built out into the sea. It's not a natural harbour. So the geography plays an important part as well.
Thank you so much for explaining all of that. Really appreciate the context there. As people talk about the Suez Canal being freed again, we don't think about the ramifications through the rest of the other waterways, including around the Cape of Good Hope.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quicktake now for insight in an instant.